What's poppin', Crockpot family? It's your boy Chef Zay, and welcome back to another Crockpot episode on the Crockpot podcast. And we jumping right into the it's spicy segment because Mike Tyson slapped the absolute dog piss out of Jake Paul, and I think that deserves to be talked about. Number one, we'll get into the Cavs 76ers recap as well. I know it's a little bit later into the night, but hey, we're gonna do the recap still, and we will also touch on, I believe, the Kevin Stefanski comment on Jedrick Wills as well. But the topic of discussion right now, the thing that is taking the world by storm, Mike Tyson is going to be fighting Jake Paul tomorrow. And I before this came out, I already was like, I'm curious of how this is gonna go because it is a real sanctioned fight. This goes on the record. Does Mike Tyson care about legacy? And then I see the one clip talking about who cares about legacy. He's getting the bag. And we know Jake Paul knows how to put on a good show. Like this is factual. He's a YouTuber. He's an entertainer. I mean, pretty much anything the Paul brothers are touching right now is turning to gold. But when you see the slap, I don't know if this was part of the script. Everyone is in the comment section. The second it came out on SportsCenter, had 300,000 likes in 20 minutes. Like this is the hottest topic right now. And I just don't know if this was on the script. Like I because I was in that camp of, yeah, this has got to be scripted. Like obviously they're trying to rake in some dollars. How is it gonna go though? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how's the script actually gonna play out? But I genuinely think that Mike Tyson slapped the dog piss out of Jake Paul, and Jake Paul he wasn't expecting it. Oh, I mean, he ate it. Don't get me wrong. He ate it. Boom. But I don't think anybody was really expecting it. I mean, we gotta respect Jake Paul because Mike Tyson slapped the dog shit out of him. Like let's be honest. But was he like intimidated? Like, did PTSD kick in? Like, what exactly happened? Boom. That just made him see. This is the part right here. This is the
You
question.
are setting a monumental opportunity. Done.
Well, I don't know. I don't.
Oh,
Well, I don't know. I don't believe in the word legacy. I just think that's another word for ego. That's just some word everybody grabbed onto. Now it's used every 5 seconds. It means absolutely nothing to me. I'm just passing through. I'm gonna die, and it's gonna be over.
hmm. Like I as a spectator, someone who has no dog in this fight, someone who honestly couldn't care less of what's the outcome of this fight. Trust me, I mean, I'm rocking with Iron Mike. I mean, he's sitting at plus 275 too. Those seem like pretty good odds for a guy who's, I mean, one of the best fighters to ever lace up gloves. So I don't know what to expect. My thing is, I personally think that Jake Paul, there's no way. Like, we want to talk about Barry Bonds' head just in neck and shoulders and body just exploding up over a season. Uh, uh, I don't give a damn what type of training you got. There ain't no way genetically Jake Paul was like that. This dude's neck is ridiculous. This dude's thigh. You would think this dude plays DN next on the opposite side of Miles Garrett. Like, can Mike Tyson take the blows at 58? That's the big question right now. And can he go the distance with him if he needs to? I think Mike Tyson gonna throw some blows. I think Jake Paul, he showed that he can take that slap. That's a slap. But can you take the Iron Mike hook? Can you take the Iron Mike uppercut? Can you take that Iron Mike hook? Like, can you take that? And that's gonna be the real question on that side. But the one thing I can't see is Mike Tyson drop. It'll hurt too bad to see Mike Tyson get dropped by Jake Paul. And I don't know if Mike Tyson will get dropped by him, but I can see a world where he does get dropped by him just because, like, I mean, people underestimate Jake Paul. they don't give him a lot of respect for him as a fighter. I feel like, and I feel like Jake Paul ain't no slouch when it come to boxing. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm some boxing enthusiast or I know all this stuff about boxing because I don't. But every time I've seen Jake Paul fight, it don't look like somebody who's just going out there and trying to put on a show, like trying to be entertaining. Like just like Logan Paul has a knack for the WWE, athletic as hell, obviously knows how to entertain. Like he's built for that. I think Jake Paul, he can box for real. Like obviously he's not going up against the opponents that you want to see. I mean, this is everybody wants to see this, but I'm talking about as far as like to test if he's this like elite boxer because of the opponents that he's going up against. But I mean, I think you kind of would be a fool to not at least give him credit and be like, man, the man at least knows what he's doing. He puts in the effort, he puts in the grind, and I can respect that. So I definitely think this is probably his best fight. It's weird saying that because Mike Tyson is 58 years old, but I mean, this is by far the most experienced guy that he's going up against. I mean, Mike Tyson, I wouldn't want to get hit by Mike Tyson. I don't give a damn if he was 58 or 98. I'm not taking a shot by Mike Tyson right now. So you got to respect him in that aspect too. The real question is, does he get knocked out? I'm anxious to know. Please let me know in the comments. Does Mike Tyson knock out Jake Paul, or does Jake Paul knock out Mike Tyson, or does it go the distance? I think it's going to be a knockout. I'm hoping it's not Mike on Mike's end, but don't let this go to the distance, please. Like, just knock somebody out, man. Nobody wants this to go to distance and be like, oh, Jake Paul wins by split decision. And it's like, but personally, I think it's set up perfect for them to go, a three-peat. Like, Mike Tyson is taking this one on. I think he's taking this one super serious. He wins this one. Jake Paul will look good, quote unquote. He'll gain respect from the boxing community, and then they'll hype up the second one. They'll double the money that he makes, and then that'll be the one that Tyson loses. And then there'll be an all-out bang if Mike Tyson's in for it and if he's up for it type thing. And then that's when the script playing, in my opinion, will come in. I think Mike Tyson really want to knock this dude out. That's just my opinion. But we gonna leave it there for the spicy segment, and we're gonna get into this Cavs recap because why aren't we talking about the 13-0 Cavs? I know we just got a Chris Rock 2.0 by Mike Tyson, but the Cavaliers are 13-0 and they weather the storm that Philly threw at them. Winning, I don't even have the score up in front of me. What a terrible job out of myself. So if you could just give me 1 second while I pull up the score and I cover airtime by just mumbling my words. Because why? Because that's what I have to do right now because I wasn't prepared. 114-106. And shout out to the Cavs, man. Shout out to the Cavs bench. Shout out to Kenny Atkinson. We saw a rotation where Craig Porter got 11 minutes. And that comes with the territory of the comment that Mitchell had where he said, yeah, we're tired. 12 games in 20 games or 12 games in 20 days. Of course, we're going to be tired. And you saw that throughout the beginning of the game because of the shots just weren't falling. They were going in and out. There were some air balls, dead legs. You know what I mean? Like clear signs, the turnovers that they had 11 turnovers this game. And a lot of those came in the early first half when Philly made runs. And they made a huge run there at the end of the second quarter. They actually won the quarter by 10. And you got every ounce of the players that weren't the big three for the Sixers. Jared McCain, how about that? 34 points, 10 assists, doing it on every – I mean, that man was absolutely cooking. Unfortunately, Donovan Mitchell had other plans. He had hibachi of his own and obviously daggered him. Darius Garland – complete domination in the third quarter. I mean, 25 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, and he only went 1 of 4 from 3. But when you need a DG to give you the momentum and the spark, you don't win this game without that third quarter that Darius Garland gave you in order for Donovan Mitchell to take off in the fourth quarter like he did. And that's such a beautiful thing to see because if you're bench players and let's just, for instance, like the scenario that they were in, clear signs that Darius and Mitchell and those guys were tired, They go a rotation with Craig Porter, Ty Jerome, Niang, and Wade, and they threw in Levert as well. I don't want to say threw in Levert because he's a six man. But they had those guys in there. They withstood the drive. They withstood the storm. And then you come out of the half, obviously adjustments were made. Kenny Atkinson's shots start to fall. You end up shooting 40% from the 3-point line and end up shooting 50% after everything wasn't really falling in the first half. Those are the adjustments that the Cavaliers needed to make that they weren't making last year, which is going to make them so special moving forward. Because if you can get adjustments out of halftime and your bench can do what they're doing to allow your superstars, your stars, Darius Garland and Mitchell, to get to the third and fourth quarter to activate that. Oh man, think of the mental relief for them knowing that okay, we can kind of press back a little bit in this first half if we need to and let these guys rock out, and then we could take over in that third and fourth quarter. And then if you're gonna get stuff like Ty Jerome, I mean, this guy in the fourth quarter has been spectacular through this stretch. Every time in the fourth quarter when you need a stop, Ty Jerome is either there to cause the havoc or he's there to capitalize with a bucket, a three-pointer or a drive or whatever the case may be. When it comes to the fourth quarter, Ty Jerome has been as clutch as anybody on this team. Karis LeVert, I mean, this guy, I saw the stat that he was leading the plus-minus minutes or plus-minus category for all of the six men throughout the entire league, guys like Derek White and such like that. So everyone really just pretty much clicking. I think another guy that's been really fun to watch this season has been Niang. This guy, every time he's on the court, he's got the energy there. He's moving, he's attacking the basket, using his body, drawing fouls. Like they're playing the perfect brand of basketball, and you don't really see that often. You've seen the Warriors play a perfect brand of basketball for so long because they were able to move the ball, and that's what you're seeing. Draymond Green comes out on his podcast, and he's talking about, I ain't never seen anything like this, had my head spinning. They said the Cavaliers offense had his head spinning. Like, Draymond Green's word is so well respected around the NBA because he was on arguably one of the greatest dynasties that was ever put together in the NBA association. And he's seen it firsthand because he's been a part of a dynamic offense and an offense that looks unstoppable. And if you're getting that type of praise, that means you're doing something right. So again, I've said it the past 2 episodes. I'll continue to say it until we see it. Yesterday was a great test. I know a lot of people aren't going to look at it because it was the 2-9 76ers and they should have won because they didn't. Like, at the end of the day, we're playing who we are. No one else is undefeated. So I don't want to hear they haven't played anybody. They played 13 teams. They played 7 of them away and they've won every single one of them. Put the respect on it and leave it at that, because Boston's going to come up. And then what happens if we beat Boston? What happens if we go and we beat Chicago tomorrow, and then we beat Charlotte, and then we go in on national television in the Garden and beat them? What are they going to say? I already know what they're going to say. Oh, it's the regular season. Wait until the playoffs when they sweep you. Celtics in 5, Celtics in 4. Like that. That's how it always goes. So they're always going to move the bar. The expectation is always going to shift because that's just what it is. And they just like to prey on the downfall. And honestly, I think the Cavaliers are so locked in right now. I think it's going to be a true test once the loss finally does happen, because everyone is so locked into the streak. Everyone is so locked in to giving it their all in the beginning. And I think it's going to be one of those things where you finally lose, and that obviously that mental hurdle of not trying to keep the streak alive is there. But it's also going to be in your head where it's like, okay, this could be our game or two to take a break. And hopefully that doesn't mess with the momentum. I don't think it'll mess with the momentum too much, but hopefully shifting the mindset when you know the streak is over isn't going to be a huge shift to where it changes the style of play that we've seen for the Cavaliers. Because as long as they continue to play the style that they're playing right now, they will be okay. I am a little worried about these next couple games before we get to Boston. It's easy to look over and be like, well, we just beat the Bulls. We're at home. It should be a different story. Like, I get it. Trust me. But the Bulls play as well, man. Kobe White, we didn't have an answer for him. We didn't have an answer for Jared McCain. And LaMelo's playing really good basketball right now. And Charlotte always, like I mentioned, I don't know if it was last episode or the episode before, but I talked about how they always just if you let them stay around, they will cause a lot of problems. And the Cavaliers, we know, like I've said it 80,000 times on this episode, they've been tired, they are gassed, and just don't get caught before the big day. Like, let's get to Boston undefeated, and then if we lose it there, it is what it is. But I saved this for last because you know, unlike there's it's unbelievable to see the Cavaliers 13-0, but it's another thing to be unbelievable to see a coach come out and say that the player didn't know the phrase or didn't understand what the phrase meant, making a business decision. I have never in my 31 years of life ever heard of a player come out and let alone say it. But then I've never seen the coach come out and say, "Oh, he didn't mean." Matter of fact, I'll let Kevin Stefanski. I'll let Kevin Stefanski tell you himself because I have the clip right here. Just give me 1 second to pull it up. I'll let him tell you what he said because I've never ever heard this in my life. Here's the clip.
I talked to Jed. It was a poor choice of words. I know the connotation of business.
Wait. Thanks, Kev. We know that it was a poor choice of words, but continue.
Decision. That's not how he meant it.
That's not how he meant it. Please enlighten me, Kev.
Did not feel like he was near 100% to help us, but poor choice of words, and he understands that.
Does he understand that? Really? Because as you go, matter of fact, continue.
The Jets not healthy a year later. I mean, was there a setback?
I wouldn't categorize it as setback. It hasn't recovered how quickly he would want it to. And there's obviously times that you maybe tweak an injury or you feel it again and those type of things. But it's been a tough rehab for him.
It's been a tough rehab, or he's just making a business decision. Continue.
What you said in any way your decision to play him going forward
No.
this season?
No. Yeah.
Why lie? If it's not going to have an impact on the decision with him moving forward. You benched him. You already benched him. So clearly it had an effect. Why lie? Continue.
Yeah, let me reiterate. It was a poor choice of words. He did not. I know what that phrase means. That's not how he meant it.
Again? What did you say, Kev? Kev, tell me you didn't say what you said. Tell me you didn't say it. Tell one more time.
It was a poor choice of words. He did not. I know what that phrase means. That's not how he meant it.
What?
Play into the decision to
No.
bench him after the Ravens game.
So now it wasn't. Oh my goodness. I mentioned it on the previous episode where I said on one coin you got the Vegas guys like, oh, they're making business decisions. Okay, well, we'll make business decisions too. And then you got guys in Cleveland that are literally trying to cover up stupidity instead of just calling it out. Why not just call it out? It pisses me off so bad because Kevin Stefanski had a huge opportunity right there to just let his nuts hang. You know what I mean? Like, just put him on the table and just be like, oh, damn. Like, ooh, Coach Matt. Oh, like, spicy. Like, ooh, Coach on that spicy. You know what I mean? But he didn't. And he just blatantly just is feeding us BS. And that just, man, I don't know. I'm tired of the experiment because there's always throughout this entire 5 years, like it's just been nothing but excuses. It literally has just been nothing but, and I get it. It's not like they've been terrible excuses, but I just made a video on TikTok today. It was the what if by one possessions. They had a breakdown chart of what if these games out of the outcomes happened. Um, and they were all through one possessions. The Chiefs would be 2-7 if it went the other way. And I just wondered what would it be like? What would the feel be like in Kansas City if they went 2-7? But guess what? They wouldn't know because in the Andy Reid era, there's never been a drastic step back. You don't go from winning 11 games to winning 2. That's the problem that I'm having with this. Oh, Kevin Stefanski's so great. Kevin Stefanski left the Minnesota Vikings. Their offense went from 16-4 or 13-4. The Vikings have finished above the Cleveland Browns every single year in offense since Kevin Stefanski's departure. We have went through Baker Mayfield. We've went through Joe Flacco, who was the only one that could do it. Jacoby Brissett. We went through all these quarterbacks. We went through a new offensive line change. We went through a 50,000 linemen. I mean, we went through all these different changes, and all we have for it every single year is an excuse as to why we aren't where we want to be. The good coaches, the good teams, the good cultures don't win 11 games to being at 2-7 after the bye. It does not happen. We sit here and we want to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers every single time about the Browns being better and finally doing this, but yet they haven't taken a huge step back and they had quarterback problems too. The Ravens never went 11 games and barely sniffed 500. The Bengals are the Bengals. I don't think they've ever done it either off the top of my head, despite how bad their situation is right now. Leading in so many different categories and still only having 4 wins to show for it. How are we the only organization to do this every single time where we have a good season and instead of taking a smaller step back or actually progressing and moving forward, we take massive steps back to a point where you're talking about rebuilding? And not just rebuilding a little bit. People are talking about studs. To the studs. That's a culture problem. And it's always been like that for the past 4 or 5 years. We've always talked about, oh, it's an ego thing. Oh, it's Odell. Oh, it's Baker. He's going to do, but Deshaun. And this. And we finally got it right with Joe. And Kevin Stefanski's this. And now Kevin Stefanski. Like, it's always been something. And I'm just tired of the experiment. And when you see new voices come in and have instant impacts like we did on our defense, like you see with the Cavs, like you see with other teams across, like you get a new voice in and sometimes it just works. The topic of discussion today on the radio was, is Kevin Stefanski the JB Bickerstaff of the Browns? I think it's a great comparison. I think this notion that you can't move on from Kevin Stefanski just because he's the best thing that we've ever had and he's a 2-time coach of the year is the most tiredest argument ever, because you act as if we can't upgrade from Kevin Stefanski. Is Kevin Stefanski have a top offense in the league? Has he ever been top 3 in the league in offense? Multiple years. Has he? How many playoff games has he won? Has he ever had back-to-back seasons where we went 500? There's a lot of question marks that I just don't understand. Fans don't see when it's like, well, we can't replace Kevin Stefanski. Why not? His offense has never been better than 13 for a total season. We ran out Baker Mayfield, and I don't understand how he doesn't get any blame for that when everyone was on. You think Kevin Stefanski didn't sign off on that? Baker Mayfield being departed. If anything, he was probably one of the lead guys pushing for Baker Mayfield to be gone. So just because Andrew Berry's the guy who's making the decision at the end of the day, if you think Kevin Stefanski didn't have a plate and Baker Mayfield being ring out here, you're crazy. Kevin Stefanski has a lot of blame in this. Yes, the players have to execute, but at the end of the day, this is his culture. This is his team that he's leading. And and when you have an opportunity to call it like it is, you come out and say Jedrick Wills didn't know what the phrase means. Since freaking when? And then have the nerve to tell us, oh, it's not going to have an impact on the decision with him moving forward if he plays or not. When it's already been out that he got benched for DeJuan Jones, which is why we saw him at the left tackle position. I'm just tired of the experiment at this point. And I'm curious to know how tired of the experiment are you guys. I know there's a lot of people that are going to ride with Stefanski to the very end, but at some point, when is the accountability going to be accountable? You know what I mean? When are we going to actually grow? Because we haven't really grown. We've just weathered storms and took steps back, because there's no way you go 11 wins to 2. I just don't understand it when relatively all of the talent is the same. You added guys. Pretty much all the talent's here. That was here last year. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you guys like up. Make sure you guys got that notification bell on. And I'll catch you guys on the next episode, because we got the Browns and the Saints. We'll have a preview show coming up. Today's what? Thursday. You're hearing this Thursday night, maybe Friday morning. So Saturday, maybe we'll probably have the preview show. And then Sunday, we gonna be live. You already know the vibes. We're gonna be live tomorrow as well, I believe. Oh, the Mike Tyson. I want to watch the Mike Tyson fight. I don't know. The plan is to be live tomorrow. I will keep everything posted as far as on socials, X and probably Instagram, on if I'm going live, if something changes for that. But I do plan on going live. Tomorrow's going to be the first night for the NBA Cup for the Cavs. They play Chicago. So make sure you guys slide through for those. And I will catch you guys on the next episode of the Crockpot Podcast. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Peace.